Hi there. There's someone. There's someone already. Still getting some food here. um, see. Yeah, okay. I should be there, I guess. Should be online. Yes. So hi and welcome. I'm just gonna put my face somewhere a little bit smaller in the corner somewhere here. Maybe there. Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe. So you have to suffer. Hi there. So let's see if I can manage to give the chat. Yes. Hi, here's some chat. I see. Hi there. Just a test. So stream quality should be all right. So I guess we're online and we're live, and you should be able to hear me. And yeah, I wanted to finish my food here actually, but I just started the stream here. So sorry for my chewing. Oh, there's someone here already. Hi, Spirit Dusk. Sorry for my eating and talking. I'm glad you learned something from my Advent of Vim videos. I hope they were a little bit fun too. And oh, sorry. And of course I will be posting some more Vim content soon. But just started with the Tmax video, I guess. And I just recorded a Git video yesterday. So just trying to mix up the content a little bit. But still, there will be more Vim content, of course. So great to see you here. What we're gonna talk, or what we're gonna do here right now, is probably just watch some YouTube and just chat a little bit, getting back into live streaming. Or if you have another cool idea, someone of you, we could also do that. But I guess wanted to start chill streaming again. I hope you all came good into the new year. You have had a happy new year. Oh, live talking and eating, even worse than just recording videos, I guess. All right. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna be right back in like at most 1 minute. All right, I'm back. Sorry for the rough start here. So no more eating now. Just some more coffee to keep me awake. All right. I guess we're just gonna start watching a video here. There's no other suggestion from one of you. Let's see what could be nice to watch here. Stop using Waybar. Okay, I'm not that much or that deep into Linux right now as a desktop operating system, at least. So don't know if I want to watch that. Oh, this sounds great. Career strategy for people with too many interests. The M-shaped future. That sounds like it could fit at least for me. So I'm just going to start with that, I guess.
In our last conversation, we talked about the graveyard of hobbies. We looked at the neuroscience of quitting, and we laid out a plan to build that muscle of tenacity, the part of your brain that allows you to push through when things get hard. But, for some of you...
is the sound all right? Is it too loud? Is it too low?
A different, more confusing problem emerged. What if sticking with things is not your issue? What if your problem is that you have too many things you want to stick with? You look at your life and see a dozen different paths, and they all feel like a part of you.
I think I can relate to this a little bit. Like I want to do so many things all the time, and then there's so much stuff to do, and I can't get into all of the things I want to do.
You are not afraid of the work. You are paralyzed.
It's a tiny bit loud. So the video, or I'm going to put it down a little bit. My voice is okay. Thanks for the feedback, by the way.
By the choice. This is the classic scanner's dilemma, perfectly captured in the phrase, "I could do anything if I only knew what it was." Society has a word for you too. They call you a dilettante, someone who is a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And the anxiety that comes with that label is immense. It can feel like your greatest strength, your curiosity, is also your biggest career liability.
The thing is, it's very bright, right? So for me, it's not that big of a problem right now because I have this big ass light here that lights my face that you can see me, but probably not for people that want to watch in dark mode.
Today, we are going to dismantle that anxiety. We will look at the geometry of a successful career and offer a path for those of us who were never meant to just be one thing. First, we need to understand why the old career advice can feel like a trap. For the last century, the world praised the specialist. Society was a predictable environment, almost like a chessboard. The rules were...
I'm just going to speed it up a little bit here. Hope it's all right. Let's try 2x.
Clear. And the path to success was to go a mile deep in one narrow field. Psychologists call this a kind learning environment.
Okay, let's stick with 1.5, I guess.
It rewards repetition. This is the world of the I-shaped person, the expert with a single deep pillar of knowledge. But that is not the world we live in anymore, is it? The world today is a wicked learning environment. The rules are constantly changing, feedback is delayed, and the patterns are not obvious. Think about the difference between a golfer and a firefighter. A golfer operates in a kind environment. The rules never change, and the feedback is immediate. A firefighter works in a wicked one. Every situation is new. The rules are unknown, and their specialized knowledge might not apply. In a wicked world, the hyper-specialist can have blind spots. Now, to be clear, we absolutely need specialists. Their deep knowledge is incredibly valuable. The problem is not that the specialist path is wrong. The problem is when it is treated as the only path. When that single standard is used to measure everyone, it leaves people like you feeling like a failure, when your brain is simply built for a different kind of world. To build a career that fits your brain, you have to stop thinking in terms of job titles and start thinking in terms of shapes. The I-shaped person is the specialist. The opposite is the dash-shaped person, a mile wide and an inch deep. This is the trap many of us fall into, knowing a little about everything, but having no real foundation. This lack of depth creates a ton of anxiety because you feel like you have no ground to stand on. But there are other shapes. The most powerful one for a person like you is the M-shaped professional, or the polymath. Think of it like this. Maybe your one leg is data science. You go deep there. That pays the bills. But your second leg is storytelling. You go deep there too. And your horizontal bar is your interest in psychology, history, and design. Suddenly, you are not just a distracted data scientist. You become the person who can weave complex data into a compelling narrative that a CEO can actually understand. That combination is rare. That combination is valuable. The tool that allows a polymath to do this is called far transfer. A specialist uses near transfer, applying a skill to a very similar problem. But a polymath uses far transfer. They see the underlying structure in one field and apply it to a completely different one.
All right. Not sure if I understand the M shape. So like I get the two pillars, but why is it like M-shaped?
Person who understands the branching structure of a tree's root system might suddenly see a better way to organize a company's database. A musician who understands harmony and counterpoint might look at a piece of software code and see a more elegant way to structure it. That is far transfer. It is the ability to see the music, not just the notes. And all those seemingly random interests you have collected over the years, they form the very library of metaphors you will pull from to create these kinds of breakthrough insights. So how do you actually build this M-shaped life? It requires a different strategy. The first is serial mastery. You cannot build all the pillars at once. That just leads back to the shallow dash shape. You must pick one pillar and commit to it for a season, maybe 6 to 18 months or so. Now, the big question is which one to pick first. The anxiety of this choice is what paralyzes most scanners. The secret is to lower the stakes. You are not choosing for the rest of your life. You are just choosing for this season. A good first pillar is often the one that creates the most stability, the one that can become that good enough job we will talk about. Or it could be the one that simply has the most energy and excitement around it right.
I think I like the second option more, like the excitement. But then there are so many things that excite. So not that an easy choice, I guess.
Now, pick one and give yourself permission to pour your focus there. You build one leg until it is strong, until you feel you have mastered the core 80% of it. This doesn't mean you need to be a world-class expert. It just means you have reached a level of fluency where you can solve most common problems without running back to the instruction manual. When your curiosity in that area feels satisfied for now, you make a conscious choice. This is not quitting like a dabbler, running from the pain. This is strategic quitting. It is a graduation. You are deliberately choosing to begin building your next pillar. This requires a second strategy. If your mind is naturally drawn to exploration, it can be a powerful choice to have a day job that provides stability without draining all of your cognitive energy. Many of the great polymaths, like Einstein, did this. He worked as a patent clerk. It was the stable ground that allowed his mind to wander the universe. You may need to reframe your day job. It's not just about the paycheck. It's a strategic asset. A low-drain job leaves you with a surplus of your most valuable resource.
But you gotta find this low-drain job. If it should be one of your, he said one of the pillars should provide the job, okay. Because like if you're in a job that maybe doesn't offer like high stakes or something like that, but you're like just rotting away without any fun or anything that challenges you, you come back after the job with less energy. At least that's my opinion. My experience has been my experience.
Your mental energy, which you can then invest in building your other pillars. A high passion, high stress job might sound exciting, but if it consumes 110% of you, it leaves no room for the exploration your brain craves. The final piece is a system, because let's be honest, a scanner's brain generates more ideas than it can possibly hold on to. Your mind is a high output idea factory, but your working memory is like a small workbench. If you don't move finished ideas off the bench, there is no room to build new ones. Trying to keep it all in your head is a recipe for overwhelm. This is why you need an external place to capture your fleeting obsessions. The great sociologist Niklas Luhmann published over 70
Oh, a Zettelkasten. Niklas Luhmann, the father of the Zettelkasten, or Zettelkasten.
books, and his secret was a system called a Zettelkasten. He didn't try to write a whole book at once. He just wrote down one idea on a small index card. Then he linked it to another related card. Over decades, these connections grew into a massive web of knowledge that practically wrote the books for him. When you get fascinated with medieval architecture for a week, take notes. Put them in a simple system, like Notion or Obsidian. Then, when the obsession fades,
or like just your own structure in Vim or New Vim,
you can let it go without feeling guilty. 3 years from now, when you are working on a web design project, you might stumble upon those old notes and realize the structure of a cathedral is exactly like the structure of this website. That is the moment of magic, but it only...
Okay, that seems a little bit far-fetched, like
The structure of a cathedral
and like a website
is exactly like the structure of this website. That is the moment of magic, but it only happens if you capture the dots so you can connect them later. So, let's put this all together. You are not a dabbler who lacks grit. You are a scanner, a potential polymath. Your brain is not designed for the stable world of the specialist. It is designed to be a bridge between different worlds of knowledge. This path won't always feel easy, and mastery takes time. But just having a map for your mind brings a sense of calm. The self-blame begins to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence. Pick your first pillar. Build it with focus. Use your job as a stable platform, not a cage. And build an external system to hold your endless sparks of curiosity.
Whoops. Not sure if I agree completely of how he explains it here, but I think focusing on one area first and then building up some other stuff on the side or after that, and like focus on one area, then focus on another one, and focus on another one. Another one is probably a good thing to do. And having some kind of note system where you capture all your thoughts and organize them is, of course, also very helpful. I'm still struggling with finding the perfect system for that. I tried the Zettelkasten method, but I think it's more of a combination of Zettelkasten. Why do I say Zettelkasten? I'm German, man. I can say Zettelkasten. Zettelkasten in combination with some other method, like I don't know, the para method or something. But I still haven't found something that's really perfect for me. Do any of you have some kind of very well thought out note-taking system, or second brain, as it's like the modern word for that?
You were never meant to master just one thing. You were meant to be the person who can see how everything connects. And to help you get started on this, I've created a new free PDF guide for you called the Polymath Field Guide. It has a simple framework for auditing your interests and designing your M-shaped career. You can download it using the link in the description. Now, if you found yourself listening to this and thinking, my problem isn't that I have too many interests. My problem is that I quit the moment things get difficult. That is perfectly okay. That just means you are at a different part of the journey. I would recommend you start by watching our previous video. It will give you the tools to build that first foundational muscle. You can click on it right here. Thanks for watching. I hope this gives you something useful you can actually try, and I will see you in the next one.
Okay, it's like a meh video, but I still gonna like it here. Okay, let's go back to the main page here. I haven't even watched any other video of this channel. I don't know why the algorithm put it here, but yeah, let's see. From new Vim to Z. Now that's interesting. I'm actually thinking about trying out that, even though I like the terminal more, to be in a terminal all the time, or most of the time. I've heard good things from that. Maybe I will try it. Let's look at this DevOps toolbox video. Let's look.
In this video, we'll look at how the normal mode paste command works in a terminal buffer.
Whitewatched.
Let's go back to the beginning here.
Z has been popping on and off my radar for a few good years. Almost 2 years ago, I stumbled across a blog post called From Vim to Z. I thought, sure, another one, but the writer was Thorsten Boll, PhD, building compilers, and no.
Yeah, I know him. I know that guy. Not DevOps Toolbox. I know him too, but I don't really know him in real life, but I came across his stuff too, by the way.
Known Gopher and Vimmer, and I was intrigued, so I read on, and I gotta say, I was hooked. It felt like he was reading.
Let me look at this again.
The writer was Thorsten Boll, PhD, building compilers, and known Gopher and Vimmer, and I was intrigued, so I read.
He doesn't really use his computer like this, right? On the stand, and then you have to put your hand up top on the trackpad. It's just a video. Like a scene that looks nice in the video. All fake. DevOps Toolbox, you're faking it.
On, and I gotta say, I was hooked. It felt like he was reading me, celebrating Vim, using it for well over a decade, reading the same niche posts, hearing Drew Neal's voice.
In this video, we'll look at how the normal mode paste command works in a terminal buffer.
I actually just started reading. I don't have my Kindle here. Like the book, the Practical Vim book, the old one, to see if I could pick up stuff from that. And this was one of the screencasts of this guy who wrote this book.
In this video, we'll look at how the normal mode paste command works in a terminal buffer.
Who I watched hundreds of times, and his book actually got me into Vim in the first.
Yeah, exactly, this one. It's a few years old now, but yeah, I just started reading it. It's quite good so far.
Place. Thorsten also mentioned learning tricks from Gary Bernhardt, following every move of TJ and more. But then he got into why he's moving to Zed. I thought, well, yeah, because you work there. But he went on. Modern, written in Rust, open source, and most importantly, Vim first. I wanted to try. And so I did. But honestly, couldn't see the appeal. Life happened, I went back to my good old ways, and so did Thorsten, it appears. Shortly after the post went out, I saw a video by someone you probably already know.
All right, from Vim to Zed. Around 20 years of using...
Oh, he reacted to this. Okay. Didn't know about that. Didn't watch this video.
Vim in December. By the way, if you guys don't know Thorsten Ball is awesome.
Literally reading the same text and commenting on it. So I reread it with him again. And maybe it was Christmas magic because a week later an email popped in my mailbox with an invitation. I responded with the same story I just told you and asked whether it was relevant. This was the response. So is Zed good enough to convert a decade of NeoVim to a GUI-based editor?
I'm not sure if it's true or real, but I actually got my first... I just put... let's go to the YouTube channel here. To my YouTube channel. I just put here this email address a few weeks ago, a few days ago. Okay, water cars. I hate captchas. Like this email address here that some people can contact me for stuff, for like sponsorships or something, or business related stuff. And I just got an email, just like DevOps Toolbox said. It's not directly from the Zed guys, but from some marketing agency or something. I'm not sure if it's real. I just have to check this out. And they said they might, if I would be interested in a few things, like a sponsored video of this. And one of those was Zed. So I'm thinking about doing that, but I would have to take a look at it beforehand. And if this is even real, I don't know. This would be my first breakthrough. Hey, someone wanted me to cover something on this channel. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Is it really that fast? So is Zed good enough to convert a decade of NeoVim to a GUI-based editor? Is it really that fast? What about the extension problem it has? Let's get into it.
Still with the coffee shots. I just have some poor coffee, not like some high-end coffee that he drinks all the time here.
Zed, as mentioned, is a cross-platform Rust from scratch open source code editor. It's from the team of Atom, the wonderful old editor we all used at some point. Atom was stopped in 2022.
I actually didn't. I never tried Atom. Did you?
Zed was announced a year later and also open sourced. Sequoia, famously one of the first investors in Apple, led $32 million investment in Zed in 2025, so you can assume it's just swarming engines. It's interesting that the first thing, literally the welcoming screen in Zed, is showing off the speed of the editor, shifting open tabs no less. This thing was built and is marketed to touch developers' hearts, not anyone else. It's used and praised by large teams and pretty well-known figures and comes with all the bells and whistles one can expect. But it also comes with those you don't really expect. Let me show you. Install it.
I'm intrigued.
Any way you like, and once you pop it open, you'll want to install its CLI. Yes, Zed comes with its own command line utility because they want to win me over. Amongst many other useful options, you could set Zed as your editor and var to make it pop with any demanding applications like kubectl edit, for example. If you have your Zed fully configured, it'll just work with anything out of the box, so you don't have to go back to something else from the terminal.
All right, I don't know. That's hi Octomew. Or Meow. I didn't pronounce it correctly, probably. I don't know. This is a nice feature. Like I've used Sublime back in the day from the terminal sometimes and called it like that. Or you can call code, VS Code with the code command, right? But I'm not sure. I'm like feeling like I'm married to the terminal at this point, and I want to stay in the terminal. So not sure, but maybe I should try it.
Like kubectl edit, for example. If you have your Z fully configured, it'll just work with anything out of the box, so you don't have to go back to something else from the terminal. The interface itself isn't jaw-dropping, but it really shouldn't be. Personally, I like the lean first look, but I have to be the nerd that checks whether it's as fast as they show on the main page first.
All right, let's do that. Let's do a goal here. 5 super chats. Any kind of super chat, like in the next, how late is it? Like 2 hours. Like I will be here for 2 more hours, and I will try Z in the next live stream if we reach this goal. Let's see if this happens.
First thing, 4 tabs or buffers. Not sure yet about the concepts, but that's all I need. With V mode already turned on, don't.
Okay, now I lost my train of thought, or I lost where we've been in this video. I'm just gonna skip back a little bit.
Something else from the terminal. The interface itself isn't jaw-dropping, but it really shouldn't be. Personally, I like the lean first look, but I have to be the nerd that checks whether it's as fast as they show on the main page first thing. 4 tabs or buffers. Not sure yet about the concepts, but that's all I need. With V mode already turned on, don't worry, we'll get there. I can use square bracket in B to travel across the open buffers, and this works flawlessly. But
but one single buffer is like 1 tab here, right? So it's not the same, not exactly the same concept.
In order to have them loop indefinitely, we'd need the actual shortcut, Command Shift square bracket, and nice. Gotta check that in NeoVim. Sorry, hang on. I'll even pop the exact same 4 files. We'll add a small normal mapping, and yeah, not bad. Even a tiny bit of a feeling that Z does this quicker.
Okay, so DevOps Toolbox uses the buffer line.
Who cares? Both are great. Moving on. Command J hides your button dock. This could be the terminal, a debug console, both of which we'll get into. The next and most important shortcut in the entire app is the command palette. Command Shift P for Mac users, opening up, well, everything in one palette, whether shortcuts, key maps, or commands, it's all there. The settings file is your Z config that by default sits in your .files config path under Z settings JSON, and you can pretty much set anything you want through here.
That's at least one nice thing. You could just put it in your source control and your .files. I hate it when other programs don't have like a configuration file. You can easily sync or do something like that. I actually don't use tabs that often, to be honest. So the question was, what NeoVim do you prefer for tabs? You meant plugin, probably. I just really don't use tabs. I just use the buffers and navigate between them. Or in NeoVim, I have also FZF Lua, so there's also a buffer navigation picker that I find quite convenient sometimes. Otherwise, I'm just using like the shortcuts for switching between buffers.
Other GUI-based IDEs don't have that feature, which is another huge plus if you're coming from these. My vmode is already on, together with a cat pitchin theme and a bunch of other options. The defaults for vmode are very impressive. As someone who tried these on VS Code probably 7 years ago and on JetBrains and other IDEs, Z are by far the most impressive. As Thorsten mentioned, it's not a 100% Vim alternative, but it's close enough. Square bracket D can go to
It never is a 100% implementation in other editors, right?
100% Vim alternative, but it's close enough. Square bracket D can go to the next and previous diagnostics, and obviously the document navigation with GG, Shift G, and other options like that. Text objects also work great. I can visually select around functions or change inside them. You'll also note the ghost text coming from AI, actually their own self-trained model, which I didn't really have to do anything to have. We'll put a pin in that. There's Git hints, where you can hover over them and get the commit, PR, and timestamp. Not something I haven't seen in NeoVim 2, but again, out of the box, fully operational. If there's
So it seems like a nice set of features so far.
one thing I absolutely miss at this point is my fuzzy finder.
There it is. FZF Lua.
Whether Telescope or FZF Lua, Z has an open issue around it, but in the meantime, Command P opens a file search box. Not a fuzzy finder, but nevertheless helpful in navigation, much more than the tree on the side panel. Okay, what
That's a big bummer. Actually, so not to have something like that.
else should we verify? Macros. Well, let's record adding comment works. What about jump lists? Well, Control-O and I both work as well as expected. Honestly, I almost feel at home. Apart from a few small minors, given I didn't even install a single plugin yet, nor did I have to port any special Vim configs, this is pretty wild. So let's talk about these key maps, shall we? There's a key map editor in the UI where you can view, search, update, or delete every single configuration. But you know what I'm missing? My beloved JJ or JK, the improved version. Let's see how these are set in Z as an example. You open the key map file, pick a context. In this case, the editor and Vim mode should be insert, then add the bindings. This is slightly different than NeoVim, which is understandable. I'll add a JK as well, but what the hell? It's not actually working. Well, it took me some time, including a bunch of Z restarts, to figure out that Z respect space is a separator. So JJ, as fast as you may type it, is still a pair of characters following each other, not a simultaneous hit. So adding a space and we're good.
Okay, that seems really strange to me, but all right. Also, I don't use JJ and JK. I did way back in the day when I first tried, when I first tried Vim, but like I don't know how many years, like 15 years ago or something, or even longer probably. I don't know, but then I switched to Control opening square bracket as using escape, and now I don't have any problem with my. I won't hold the keyboard into the camera again with my small split ergo keyboard to just press escape. Like it's not even a hand stretch. So I just use escape right now.
Command-Shift-H opens the text search on files. Another feature that makes...
Oh, sorry. You typed something into the chat. I didn't see it. So Octomew meow. It's meow. Okay, Octo. I will just call you Octo. Said I combine Telescope with LSP features like find refs, implementations, definitions, and so on. Yeah, that's also great combination. Also like that.
We miss Telescope. For splits, I can bother.
Okay, just jump again.
So
back again.
Adding a space and we're good. Command-Shift-H opens the text search on files. Another feature that makes me miss Telescope. For splits, I can bother with a shortcut, but I can just pop the command palette again and ask for it. The funny thing is, trying to navigate between panes, I naturally went to muscle memory from NeoVim using Control-W for window management, and motion, hey JKL, and here we are, moving between panes. Slick. Why don't...
Yeah, that's nice that they've included that and by default.
I try to split it too. Control W and S, boom, splits. C closes it, just as I used to know. I swear I didn't touch a single config and most of it is already doing an amazing job. NeoVim users should feel right at home. Would I be happy porting my keymap configuration like this one from my existing NeoVim setup? Well, first, I didn't have to. Most of it feels like it's already there, but we all love to tinker and rise the setup. Of course, it will come. So this isn't the most convenient way to do things for someone who's used to NeoVim setup, but it isn't bad. However, I can still call Gemini on my NeoVim config and ask it to build a keymap object ready for Z from my local configuration files, which it does exceptionally. Honestly, I went through these and they're mostly lazy Vim defaults, which are already there. I mean, to the point of hitting colon exclamation mark and asking for a shell command to run. This is really an exceptional Vim experience.
So this is also per default, like the exclamation mark and running the shell command. in that, or was this added by his Gemini config here? Let me see if I can see something here.
which it does exceptionally. Honestly,
Doesn't look like the binding in here. Yeah, so that's also default in that. That's nice.
I
really
went
nice.
through these and they're mostly lazy Vim defaults, which are already there. I mean, to the point of hitting colon and exclamation mark and asking for a shell command to run. This is really an exceptional Vim experience. What about Git then? Zed comes with its own Git integration tools. If you make changes, you can see them lined up, explore and commit. Nothing crazy, if I'm honest, and pretty much expected, but it's good to know it's there regardless. With AI, we can generate commit messages, taking the shred of dignity we had by also taking over the text in our commit descriptions. Remember Command J toggling your bottom doc?
Yeah. I sometimes I think, or I think I already also created some commit messages using AI sometimes. So I think that's actually quite a nice use case, at least if you have done like a big change and haven't committed in a while, and then can see and check again if it's like really the stuff that you did, but worked quite well when I tried it.
Also take over the text in our commit descriptions. Remember Command J toggling your bottom doc? Well, the left one is toggled with Command B. And when everything's gone, that's when I feel I can actually...
It depends. Depends on, sometimes in my personal stuff, yes. Otherwise, it depends in who you work with. Like I think it's a team thing. If you do rebases, or if you squash your commits, you want to keep the history. I think it's dependent on what like are the standards of the team. I think if I would use it, but I actually don't or didn't use it that often. Squashing. I think it's nice to have the history, even if it's messy. I think not every commit message has to be perfect, or every commit has to be perfect. It's people see commits as they have to be perfect sometimes, like they have to work completely, but I don't think it's, if you have to be committed for a commit for that. So commits can also be like work in progress commits, I think. If you have some kind of workflow that builds stuff and deploys it after each commit, I think that's a wrong workflow, but then I might see the need for perfect commits. But if the end state is all right, I think you don't have to be too strict about that.
Focus. With the UI clean, we can move over to Zed's most raved feature, its multi-cursor option. Again, not something you haven't seen before, but works by default and works great with Ctrl-D over a word. The cool
yeah, that's a thing. I don't use any plugin for NeoVim for multi-cursor, but I have been using it like in other editors, and I really liked multi-cursor. And yes, you can almost do everything like multi-cursor things like with macros and stuff, but the visual part is quite nice sometimes. I think I'm curious or excited about when NeoVim implements it, how it works.
I think this works across different files too. I have to be honest and say that I prefer the code rename option on NeoVim, as it comes with context of the surrounding code, and yes, I may be butchering an existing set feature I don't know about, but this is my first thought. Still, I have to admire the variety of default options here. I know I'm repeating it endlessly, but you have to admit, if you had an enormous amount of plugins and setups to configure before you had your machine ready to go, and you got a new system to work with, will you reconfigure everything or just use something that does everything already out of the box?
Yeah, okay, so if I have like this complex config, I have checked it into version control, right? So it shouldn't be a problem to get it up and running on any other system, I think.
What if you only got this new machine for 2 days of work? Would you still bother?
Yes, because I just synced my dot files and like auto-installed the plugins.
I think it's time for some AI, and before we brutally engage in nasty vibe coding, Zed comes with AI integrated. The most important of all is their open source predictions. Zeta, or Zeta, their open source model available on Hugging Face, powers the suggestions you've seen so far. The two major benefits I see here is one, the speed. It's trained, built and run for speed of creation, giving you smart predictions with a model trained on dedicated dataset. The second, it's free. Not forever, according to this post, but as long as Zeta is in beta, and for the time being,
Zeta in beta.
It's free to use. You can dive deeper in this post, but I want to show you how it's threaded through everything in Zed. There's AI helpers, agents, even in your terminal. They work by default with Cloud Sonnet. Can work inline or as a general assistant. Everything is configured through the settings panel. Under AI, you have both prediction and other options. Now, in my opinion, one of the most important skills when using AI to code is the long forgotten concept of pair programming, or to put more accurately, another pair of eyeballs on the either incredibly stupid or amazingly genius piece of feature AI just helped create. Well, that comes with collaboration. Yes, you guessed it, it's built in, so much so that if you pop the collab doc with Command C, sign in quickly, and can already see a bunch of live channels you can join in, jump into public calls or add your own contacts and start chatting with your teammates, sharing your screen and having
like you can like just jump into any collaboration settings with some random people from the internet. That seems strange to me, but yeah, if it's easy to add your own contacts, it's a nice feature, I guess.
Their input. Incredibly significant and overlooked feature in my opinion. You can also configure a proxy or your own Zed server if you like to set it up as an extra security measure. When you do find the bug with your teammates, you're going to want to have some serious tooling to help you clean it. I made a video about debuggers in general and in NeoVim specifically, and Zed works fairly similarly as other IDEs. Use a shortcut or hit the bug icon on the bottom right corner, create a new debug session, add breakpoints, and track the process. Zed comes with DApp ready to go. Before we can vibe code a feature, a terminal is something I personally cannot forgo. Zed's internal option doesn't disappoint. There's my initial popping below, but guess what? This little star gives you inline terminal AI help. Any of you thinking of warp by any chance? Run my Go project is translated to a command, as well as any other input I give it. Right, main course. Can the fastest GUI-based IDE that just killed Warp, a bunch of other IDEs, and maybe NeoVim for some, can also kill Cursor, Windsurf, and their friends? The agent panel is your main gateway to interacting with LLMs. Zed has a pro plan with their hosted models that you can get free for like 2 weeks, or BYOK, is this a thing already? Bring your own keys with whatever plan you already have. Also, Zed supports terminal agents like Claude CLI, Gemini, and Codex, all of which are included in.
Bring your own keys, like, okay, API keys. I've seen the thing about Claude, like Anthropic, not wanting to have open code use it, like the if you have like a Claude Max subscription or something, that you cannot really or should not be able to use it with open code anymore, but DAX already fixed it. But we'll see how this goes in the future. That sucks, I think.
Supports terminal agents like Claude CLI, Gemini, and Codex, all of which are included in. On a personal note, I've been using both Codex and Gemini through the CLI recently to ship production features. It wasn't perfect, but with a little review and catching some incredibly risky changes in time, I managed to condense weeks of work into days. To be perfectly honest, it's the Cursor experience in a much faster IDE, not an expensive VS Code fork, taking the context in, iterating over problems, setting permissions. I mean, let's debate in the comments. I don't ever see a reason to use any other so-called agentic IDE ever again. Let's talk about pricing for a minute. With $10 a month, including unlimited predictions, but a rather limited token usage for general use, and then when you pass that, it's the API list price with 10% on top. The list of supported providers is extensive enough, and among them you can find OpenRouter if you need more. Zed can be free. It's also important to remember that Zed can be used without any AI features at all, just as a fast coding editor. I would also highly recommend Zed's blog, where they both announce new features, dive deep into exotic options, and share general thoughts. There's also an extensive list of extensions, as one would expect, with themes, language supports, MCPs, and more. Okay, the million-dollar question. Is this enough for me to switch? Well, yes and no. I've been paying for an AI platform, more than one, to be honest, over a year now. I had Cursor for a while, paid for OpenCode. I have both Codex and Gemini, as mentioned, and I share a lot on this channel as I experience them. Zed has its drawbacks. It's not NeoVim, nor does it mean to be. My NeoVim isn't going anywhere, but for the agents panel process, the warp-like terminal options, all in a blazing fast package, Vim support, on par with NeoVim, built in with everything I went through in this video, it definitely stays. If you liked it, but you're more of a terminal person, I highly recommend my favorite terminal agent experience so far, OpenCode. Check it out in this video next. You can keep both due to the flexible billing and pay for what you use. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, as I said, it's not that easy anymore, probably in the future. But yeah. So, seems interesting, but I don't have the urge to just really jump in and try it out. Maybe. Doesn't seem like the goal gets hit here, so we'll see if I have to try it out next week. So I don't see. Okay, at least there are two people here in the chat right now. So hello to you. If I didn't already say hello to you, I can't see who you are, but I see a number. So welcome. What should we watch next? 10 ZSH hacks I wish I knew about sooner from Dreams of Code. That sounds interesting to me. Any suggestions from one of you? Otherwise, I would actually start this. All right. So then,
when it comes to developing software, I like to do so inside of the terminal using my shell of choice, Z Shell, which I've been using now for just over 10 years. Whilst I've done a video already covering my general Zen Z Shell setup, there's a few little tips and tricks that I've picked up over the years that help me speed up my workflow when it comes to working in the terminal. Whether it's fixing mistakes I make inside of the command buffer, creating keyboard shortcuts to automate common actions, or simply reducing the amount I need to type in order to open up files using my favorite CLI tools. Therefore, in this video, I'm going to share 10 of my favorite Z Shell hacks, ones that I wish I knew back when I first started working in the terminal. The first item on this list is one that's an absolute game
always a good format, like things I wish I knew sooner.
Changer when it comes to typing out long commands, especially if, like me, you sometimes.
I also did a video about Vim tricks I wish I knew sooner, and like in the beginning of this, like about a year ago, I guess.
Sometimes make mistakes to typing out long commands, especially if, like me, you sometimes make mistakes. Picture this. You're writing
I never make mistakes.
A long CLI command, and
that was a lie, and you can see it in most of my videos, I guess.
You realize you made a mistake about 3 lines back. In the past, I would normally fix this by navigating
like the 10 tips. Probably some of them were already covered in the Advent of Vim series, but I'm not sure. I can't remember what I covered in this video actually. Octo. Now he's probably just gonna open it inside his editor, by the way. So you can, there's like a ZSH widget you can use for that. I set it to Control X, Control E, I guess. And now that I have like more, how does this plugin? Is it ZSI V mode or something like that? It has another default shortcut, VV, inside of command mode, normal mode. Sorry. So probably he will do this, I guess.
using the Z shell key bindings, followed by fixing the actual mistake, all of which feels extremely inefficient. If all of this sounds familiar, then fortunately there is a much more efficient way, which is to make use of a widget called Edit Command Buffer.
Ta-da! I knew what he was doing.
This widget allows you to open up the command buffer inside of your configured text.
Oh, also Control X, Control E. It's quite common, I guess.
Editor, which in my case is NeoVim, where I can easily correct the mistake using my Vim key bindings, and the changes will be applied to my command buffer. In my case, I've bound this widget to the key binding of Control X, followed by Control E, which has been configured using the following 3 lines found inside of my .zshellrc. Personally, I find using the edit command buffer to be incredibly powerful when it comes to working in the terminal and typing out longer commands, especially when modifying parts of a previous command or resolving any mistakes. However, whilst editing the command buffer in a text editor is really powerful, it can't protect you from every mistake that you might make. For example, one mistake I often find myself doing is when using the Ctrl+W keys to delete a previous block of text.
Yes. I use that all the time too, and it deletes way more than you think sometimes. Or than I predict sometimes.
Which sometimes accidentally deletes more than I was anticipating. In this case, opening up the edit.
I think I'm a little bit like Dreams of Code. I don't have this cool cappy, and he has a different headphone, of course, like some Sennheiser thing, I guess. But yeah. Some similarities here. And he's got another eye color, I see.
Command buffer won't save me. But fortunately, that's where this next item comes in, as I can just go ahead and press Control and underscore, and it will undo the last action that I...
Okay, I actually use the Vim mode, or the VI mode, and you can just press U, I think, in ZSH also. So I'm interested in what he uses for that.
Took. Yes, Z-Shell has undo, and it's something I absolutely wish I knew about much, much earlier. In addition to undo, Z-Shell also has a widget to undo and undo, which colloquially is called redo. However, by default, this doesn't have a key binding, and personally, I tend to not find it that useful, and so I haven't really set one up. This contrasts compared to the next hack on this list, however, which I think is something absolutely worth binding. This is the Magic Space widget, which allows you to expand any historical command. To show what I mean, here I have a classic command.
I also use that.
Inside of my Z-Shell terminal, which, if you were unaware of beforehand, well,
the double exclamation marks is like the last command you entered, and this pattern like sudo exclamation mark, I also use quite a bit. But if he hits space now, he can actually see what the last command was. There are also some other exclamation mark things, like exclamation mark, $ is the last argument of the last command, for example, stuff like that.
You get this one for free. This command is used to execute the previous command from your shell's history, but doing so using sudo, which is really useful when I accidentally forget to type sudo for a command that requires it. Despite its usefulness, however, there is one caveat that I find when running this command, in that if you're not 100% sure what the previous command actually was, then you're effectively playing Russian roulette.
And now you press the space and then it expands.
Fortunately, because I've bound Magic Space to my space key, then all I need to do is press it, and it will automatically expand the historical command to show me exactly what will be executed, which in this case is a good thing. As I mentioned, the Magic Space widget is used to expand any historical command, such as referencing a command by its index, pulling out all of the arguments from a previous command, or even when searching for the last command that contained a specific string.
Oh wow, this last one I didn't know.
Previous command, or even when searching for the last command that contained.
That's great. That's great to know.
Contained a specific string.
Okay, usually I will use FCF for that, anyways. But cool command.
If you use Oh My Z Shell or other similar plugins, then Magic Space usually comes bound by default, as well as a similar behavior whenever you press the Tab key. But once you graduate to writing your own configuration, then the Magic Key widget is definitely worth knowing. Okay, so the fourth hack on this list is one that I've always struggled to find a good use for. But recently, I've managed to find not one, but three. This is the chpwd hook, which allows you to execute a command whenever you change into a different directory. To show what I mean, if I go ahead and add in the following code into my .zshellrc, which sets up chpwd so that it executes ls, followed by then opening up a new shell window, now every time I change into a different directory, the ls command is executed, showing me that directory's contents.
Didn't know about this hook. I'm curious how he uses it. I don't think he uses it for the ls command, I hope.
As I've mentioned before, I've always struggled to find a good use for the chpwd hook. That is, until I started to use nix/nixos. Now I have a simple hook that will automatically load a Nix developed shell whenever I enter a project directory that contains a Nix flake, and provided I'm not inside of a Nix shell already. Well,
alright, so doesn't apply to me. I'm not nerdy enough to use Nix. I'm still on a Mac here, and yeah, you can use Nix also on a Mac, but I didn't try it yet. Well, I tried it once, but I didn't bother learning all the things about Nix.
Whilst there are other tools out there to achieve this, it's still really nice to have this functionality baked into Z-Shell, especially if you care about your system's bloat. In addition to Nix shells, the second way that I like to use the chpwd hook is when it comes to Python projects that have a virtual environment, as you can easily configure a hook to automatically load it whenever you enter a directory that contains one. One thing to mention is that you...
Yeah, could be useful for that. But I've tried Mise en place. I don't know, and I think I haven't tried this yet, but this should work like this too.
You can only define a single chpwd hook function, which means in order to have multiple behaviors, you either need to place all of these inside of a single definition, or better yet, you can use the add zshell hook widget, which allows you to add any defined functions into a single given hook. You can find an example on how to do this in a GitHub gist I've linked in the description down below. As for my third use of chpwd, well, this is for any Node.js projects that make use of the Node version manager, specifically when they define a .mvimrc inside of their directory. In this case, this hook will automatically call the mvim use command, making sure to set up and use the correct Node version for that specific project. This last use case has been especially...
Also, gonna use Mise for that, so no need for that for me.
Useful recently, as I've been writing more and more code using TypeScript. Speaking of which, if you yourself are looking to learn TypeScript, and you also happen to like playing role-playing video games, then there's a good chance that you might be interested in the sponsor of today's video, boot.dev. Boot.dev is an online platform that will teach you the skills to become a back-end web developer using either TypeScript or Go. However,
yeah, I like boot.dev also, by the way. I had a look at it a while back. Could also be like, as I said, I haven't done any sponsorships or something like that, but it's on the list of things I would use as a sponsor. I haven't contacted them or something like that, but maybe soon. I should maybe reach out to some of the things that I really like. And I think this platform is really cool. Also, they have like this AI agent that you can bounce questions off. It doesn't give you like solutions completely, but you can ask it, and I think it's great for learning if you use it that way.
Unlike traditional e-learning,
and also it's like this role-playing game style thing. You get XP, you get streaks, you fight bosses and stuff like that.
Platforms, boot.dev does this by trying to make the whole experience enjoyable, rather than being just a grind. They achieve this by taking concepts from role-playing video games, meaning that whilst you're learning to code, you'll also be gaining experience points, leveling up, obtaining achievements, and competing for first place on the global leader board. If all of that sounds too good to be true, then fortunately you don't have to take my word for it, as all of the material on boot.dev is both free to watch and read. However, if you do want to make use of the interactive features, such as code challenges, AI assistance with Boots the Magical Wizard Bear, and all of the game-like features that I mentioned before, then you can get 25% off your first purchase by...
This banana cursor is so strange. I don't know.
Using my coupon code Dreams of Code when you check out. That's 25% off either your first month on a monthly subscription or your first year on an annual one, which is a really great deal. Not only that, but if you happen to find that the platform just doesn't work for your style of learning, then there's no risk, as boot.dev offer a no questions asked money-back guarantee for the first 30 days. So to try everything that boot.dev has to offer, then visit boot.dev/dreams of code, or use my link in the description down.
I really like his style of presenting code on the screen sometimes. Like he's switching between just sharing the screen, and then he has these really nice shots from outside with a really good camera here that you can see the screen really nice, and you have this background and backdrop. I really like this style.
Below, and make sure to use my coupon code Dreams of Code to get 25% off your.
Maybe I should get a good camera. Sometimes I'm still recording just with a webcam here.
First purchase. A big thank you to boot.dev for sponsoring this video. Okay, so the fifth hack on this list is one that I use to allow me to open up a file.
On the other hand, I don't have my surroundings that like set up like he has his one. It's you can also, what do you see? Let me switch to OBS for me. Yeah, you can also see just this little part in the background here, part of the white wall, because it's not really that nice looking as his studio here. I'm like in the middle of the room and making do with some small room here. That's not perfectly I don't know the eingerichtet. Right now I don't know, like I don't have it styled the way I wanted to yet.
In the terminal without needing to type out the associated command. For example, here I have the following JSON file, which I want to print the contents of. Rather than specifying the command I want to use, such as jless or bat, I can instead just call the file name itself, and it will open it up for me with the command that I've configured, in this case jless. Additionally, I could do the same for the readme.md file, again just referencing it by its name, and it will open it up for me in bat, allowing me to read it at my leisure. Both of these behaviors have been achieved using something called suffix aliases, which...
Cool, I also didn't know about that possibility.
Both of these behaviors have been achieved using something called suffix aliases, which are very similar to typical aliases in Z Shell, but they run based on a command's suffix, i.e. .json or .md. To show how these work, let's go ahead and create a suffix alias for any .go files, so that they'll be opened up using NeoVim. To do so, you first use the alias command as you normally would, but with the -s flag, which is used to toggle the suffix option. Then we define the suffix that we want this alias to apply to, in this case go, which means it'll work for any commands that end in .go. Lastly, we then just need to pass in the commands that we want to run, which I'm setting to be the editor environment.
Yeah, that's really cool. Maybe I might try that.
Variable, which in my case is NeoVim. Now, whenever we specify a file that ends in .go, it'll automatically open up NeoVim and pass the file in as its argument, meaning it will automatically open it up for us. Of course, you can still use other commands with these files if you want to. The suffix aliases will only apply if you don't specify a command with it, which means it's really nice to have suffix aliases set up just for default actions that you might want to take. In my case, I have the following suffix aliases defined inside of my Z Shell RC, covering most of the major file types that I typically use day to day. In addition to suffix aliases, another form of aliasing that Z Shell provides are called global aliases, which is also the sixth hack on this list. These are aliases that allow you to use them anywhere inside of a command, whereas typical aliases can only be used at the start. This allows you to define any commonly used arguments or parameters as a simple alias that you can then just drop into a larger command. To show what I mean, I often like to check my disk usage using the du command at my system root. However, whenever I do, I often get back a bunch of errors for files that can't be checked, which ends up polluting my disk usage stats. These can be resolved by forwarding the errors to /dev/null, but typing this out is kinda tedious. Fortunately, to easily reuse this pipe command without having to type it out each time, I can define a global alias using the alias command with the -g flag, followed by the alias's name, in this case NE for null error, and setting the alias's value to the same pipe of std error to dev/null. Now I can run the same command again, this time appending NE.
Okay, that seems useful. Of course, I also use the redirection of the error thing to dev null often. So maybe I will steal that maybe.
And it'll work the same as it did before, just with less typing. Whilst global aliases are a small hack, they're definitely a quality of life improvement. And in my case, I have a few of these defined, including one to pipe standard output to /dev/null, and one to pipe both standard output and standard error, each of these defined as follows. Some other commonly used global aliases that I've seen in the wild include one for piping an output to JQ, and one to copy the output of a command to a clipboard with the uppercase C. One thing to mention is that in order to prevent any issues when using global aliases, these are defined with uppercase names. So if you go ahead and make your own, then this is a good pattern to stick to. Okay, so this next
makes sense, yeah.
Hack is one that's incredibly useful if you happen to use the terminal to manage files, specifically when it comes to batch moving or batch renaming.
Okay, so he's using ZMV probably for that.
For which Z Shell provides a command that is incredibly powerful. This is the ZMV command, which is an advanced move command found in Z Shell, allowing you to move files around, making use of pattern matching. By default, the ZMV command isn't available in Z Shell. However, you can enable it by using the following autoload command. Once enabled, we can then use it to perform file management that anyone who lives inside of a GUI is going to be envious about. For example, let's say I want to rename a bunch of log files so that they have the extension of .txt instead of .log.
I haven't used this in a long time, but yeah, I've used it for like a similar use case.
Rather than writing a script to do this, I can instead use ZMV, first enabling it using the autoload command, and then using it with the following pattern. First, selecting all of the files that end in .log, using a capture group in order to store the file name, and then referencing the file name inside of the destination.
Yeah, that would also be an option, but this is like shell only what he talks about here, right? But yeah, oil would be a good use case for oil here.
Pattern using the $1 syntax, similar to say how you would with regex. Now when I go ahead and execute this command, you can see it's renamed all of the files for me with the .txt extension. Very cool. Because of this pattern matching, it means you can perform some really complex renaming or moving of files if you need to. However, because most of the time you'll likely be making simple moves, such as the one that I just did, then ZMV actually provides the -w flag to do this with an even simpler syntax, which looks as follows. Of course, when it comes to batch renaming or batch moving files in the terminal, this can sometimes be a little risky. Fortunately, ZMV provides a dry run mode using the -n flag, which I believe stands for no exec. This allows you to preview the changes without needing to execute them. Additionally, by using the -i flag, you can enable interactive mode, where it will prompt you for each change, which you can then either confirm or deny. Honestly, ZMC is such a time saver for anybody who manages files using the CLI and doesn't want to have to either write their own scripts or functions to do so, or make use of a terminal file manager such as Ranger or Yahtzee. Next up, we have
this banana mouse cursor thingy. I don't know. I still can't get over it. And yeah, I wanted to say Yahtzee probably also can do that.
Another one of my favorite ways to improve working with directories in the CLI, by effectively bookmarking them. This is done in Z Shell using the hash command with the -d flag, followed by then using a syntax that's very similar to defining an alias. Here, I'm defining a named directory called YT, which is short for YouTube. This is pointing to the directory where all of my YouTube projects are stored. Now, if I want to quickly reference that directory in any of my commands, I can do so by using the tilde followed by the alias name. Here, I am combining
LF? What does it do, Octo? Sorry, I'm not familiar with it.
Combining it with the open command to open it up in my operating system's file manager. Personally, I find named directories are really useful when it comes to any folders that I often work with certain CLI commands. However, when it comes to actually navigating the file system,
Zoxide, yes.
Oxide is still king in my opinion. But fortunately, both of these things work well together. Oops. And if you're interested more in learning...
Sorry, my fat fingers did hit another thing here.
CLI commands. However, when it comes to actually navigating the file system, Zoxide is still king in my opinion. But fortunately, both of these things work well together. And if you're interested more in learning about Zoxide, well, I have a full video on it already.
Ah, okay. Okay, so LF is the same as Yazi, but lighter. Okay, cool. Didn't get the context in this moment right now. I haven't tried it. Also, I have tried Yazi, but I still don't use it that often, actually, like a file manager.
Of which there's a link to in the description down below. Okay, so now we're on to the final two, which is more about customizing certain actions when it comes to the command line buffer. The first of which is when it comes to custom widgets. I've mentioned widgets a few times in this video already, but I haven't really explained what they are. In case you're unaware, widgets in Z Shell are a form of function. However, rather than being used to execute commands, they instead are used to perform actions in the terminal and command line buffer. Because they are a form of function, then it means you can also define custom ones yourself. For example, here I've defined the following custom widget, binding it to the keys of Ctrl-X followed by L, which, if I go ahead and press, will clear my Z Shell history, but will keep the current command buffer for me. Basically, it's like the clear command, but even better. Of course, that's not the only custom widget that I have defined, and one of my other favorites is what I have bound to Ctrl-X and Ctrl-C. This widget will copy the current command on the buffer into my operating system's clipboard,
Oh, that's nice.
allowing me to then paste it wherever I want. Very cool. In order to define custom widgets, you make use of the ZLE command, which stands for Z Shell Line Editor. If you're interested in learning more about how to use this command, and you'd like me to do a dedicated video on it, then let me know in the comments down below.
I didn't, or I haven't been looking into ZSH configuration for a while now, but I think I also created some custom widget, which probably I never used because I can't remember what it was right now.
Oh, okay. So the last Z Shell hack on this list is by no means the least. In fact, I might even consider it my favorite. This hack allows you to basically configure hotkeys for inserting into your command buffer, which, yes, is as powerful as it sounds. For example, let's say I want to bind a hotkey to insert a git commit command with my cursor placed inside of the quotes, ready to type my git commit message. I can achieve this using the following bind key command with the -s flag, then specifying the key combination that I want to bind this command to. In this case, I've set it to be Ctrl-X followed by G and C, which is a mnemonic for git commit. Afterwards, I can then specify the text that I want this keybind to insert when pressed, which in this case is git commit -m, followed by the two quotations. Then, in order to move the cursor back one space into these quotations, I can send the Ctrl-B command using the following syntax of \C-B. Now, with this keybinding set, if I go ahead and
Cool. This sounds like a useful thing, actually. I would use this. Maybe I'm gonna steal this too.
Press Ctrl-X followed by G and C for git commit, you can see it inserts the configured git commit command with my cursor exactly where I need it to be in order for me to start typing out the message. This, for me, is such a huge time saver when it comes to working in the terminal, specifically when it comes to commands that have a lot of boilerplate and you need to fill in a specific part. By having these hotkeys, it makes both Z Shell and the terminal feel more like a text editor such as Emacs or NeoVim, allowing you to save a lot of time by adding in motions for commonly used commands, which in my opinion is incredibly powerful. In any case, with that, we've covered 10 Z Shell hacks that I wish I knew back when I first switched over to using it, which, if I had known about, would have no doubt saved me a whole lot of time. Of course, there's plenty more to learn when it comes to my favorite shell environment. So if you want to learn more about some of the everyday things when it comes to using Z Shell, things such as aliases, functions, and even keyboard navigation, then let me know in the comments down below, and I'll whip up something special. Otherwise, that's all from me. But I want to give a big thank you to you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Great video, I think. Good combination. Tricks. Top 10 NeoVim tricks. I think I saw the post on the NeoVim subreddit of this, but I haven't looked into the video. I think it actually blew up quite a bit. Had quite a bit of upvotes, I think. What was it called again? Like top 10 new web tricks. Or like I can somehow filter for the video stuff here, right here, like this. Oh, no, that's another one. Oh, there's a video of mine. Ooh, cool. Yeah, I also posted a bunch of videos there, but I can't find it right now. I thought he posted it here. Anyway, I think I saw the post, but I didn't watch the video. Should we watch it? Like it's at least like maybe he has some tricks that we didn't cover yet. Oh, but it's 21 minutes. Not sure. Yeah, like I'll be here for about another hour, I think. Is there some kind of timer on this goal? Yeah, like hour and 10 minutes, I guess. So do you think we should watch it, Octo? Yeah, I like it. I actually use it, and I also put out a video about it, I think. Let me check. Yeah, okay. Now the problem is that the advent of Vim series is taking up so much space here, but I think I have it somewhere. Here, how to use Vim pack. So I like this. Actually, it was quite early, so I think there are a few new features in the package manager already. But yeah, I think it's good. And I think it even supports lazy loading now, somehow. Yeah, 5 months ago, I know. Like, this channel is old. See here, my first video, it says a year ago, but it's not really a year ago. It's like, hi there, longer. My name is Marco. In this video, it's, I was sweating so much when I did this. On September 30th, 2024. So yeah, a little bit more than a year ago. You can see. Oh, I was feeling so bad while I was recording this, but it blew up for me at least. Like the first video, it was like the most viewed video for a long time on my channel. Yeah, and a console game in Go. Oh, I thought about like PS5 game in Go or something like this in a console. You mean like yeah, like in the terminal? Yeah, that's great. Do you have a channel, Octomu? So I'm going to show you how to replace. I didn't want to start this. So Octomu69. Let me see if I can find you here. I can't. Channels. Okay, wait. I should be able to. Let's try it like this. You see how unable I am sometimes. Okay, no. You haven't posted any videos here. But yeah, do that. I will watch that. We could watch it on stream. I would watch that. Yeah. I always wanted to learn Go. I didn't touch it yet. Yeah, I see. This is your channel, but you don't like it's the, or you have probably another channel, maybe on another name. I just use my personal channel actually for like my personal YouTube account to upload videos then. Yeah. If you do, like come into one of the live streams and then we'll have a look together at it. So yeah, yeah, I would watch that. Okay, let's see. What else could we watch here? Let's close my first video again. Open code is insane. Yes, open code is quite nice. Oh, I'm uninstalling Windows. The fresh editor. What's the fresh editor? Another file editor. We need so many editors, right? Or like a 4 years old video gets put into my timeline. I hope my videos will be placed into some timelines, into some dashboards here in a few years too. Oh, Josh made a video about Git work trees. Great. The Git video I haven't released yet because I didn't finish editing it. It's also about Git work trees. So I'm not gonna watch this here right now. Yeah, you can. I also enabled auto dubbing. I'm also not a native English speaker. As you might have noticed, sometimes I'm really searching for words, and sometimes if I edit my videos, I see or I hear stuff I said and I think like, I know how to say this better. Why did I speak in such a complicated, not really nice way? I don't know. But speaking and listening is something completely different, I think. And also I'm not that experienced in speaking. Like I don't have that many options to speak. So this is nice, like just talking to, not only to myself because you're like here in chat, but like talking on camera is at least some practice of actually speaking. Oh, this should be nice. But it's over an hour long. I don't know if you want to stick that long for this. Misha's great. Misha's great, and I would like to have a look at his current setup, actually. On Typecraft uses Yazi, probably. Yeah, let's see what Misha's talking about. And we can always skip or like go to another video.
Hey, what's up? I do almost...
If it's not interesting. You can say stop. Anyone who doesn't want to watch it anymore.
95% of my work on the command line, and my Tmux NeoVim workflow video that I created 2 years ago is one of my best performing videos with 100k views. So in this video, I'll give you my 2026
He has a new setup. He has a new studio setup.
Videos with 100k views. So in this video,
like I know his old videos. Now he has some really fancy microphone, it seems. He used to have like this Shure SM7B also, like this is also like a nice microphone, but this looks somehow more expensive actually. Let's look at one of his old videos, like just for comparison, how he has improved. Let's go to one of the oldest ones, like 3 years ago. Okay.
Hey there, welcome back to this series where I'm building my own operating system in Arch Linux.
This is so great, right? Like, look at the difference, how far he has come. Like, professional studio, he's speaking even more calmly, I don't know. Like, looks very professional, like 3 years ago.
In the previous session, I customized my GNOME setup, and what you're seeing now is the...
Yeah, that's great. So let's go with a new video, actually.
here I'll give you my 2026 updated version.
Professional editing here.
Of this video, going through my complete mind map with a few updates, a few changes, and how my workflow has changed and how everything is tied together. So let's jump in. I always start this video by giving you the overview of what we're gonna talk about today. So I'm going to
also like the contrast with the like the white t-shirt, the white t-shirt and the really nice I don't know, black silk shirt here or something. I don't know, like it's a real upgrade, I think.
talk about my OS, how I configured my terminal, which editor I use, and all of the elements that are comprised with that. And I like to start reading out this piece that I wrote here about the actual foundation of the workflow, being that my workflow is...
The thing with Misha is I love how he's so calm and can be so calm on camera, but most of the time I can also watch him at 2x.
completely based on the command line. I therefore have very little programs or tools running on the
Okay, maybe it's a little bit too fast. Let's do 1.5.
graphical side of the OS, whether it be Mac OS or Linux. All I need is a terminal and a web browser, but a window manager is a big bonus to my productivity. My main philosophy is to have a minimalistic workflow which uses very little resources. It should be a distraction-free, keyboard-centered, and efficient environment to do my best work. And that is the goal that I'm always striving for. And this workflow is a work of art, I should say. It has accumulated over many years of tinkering and constantly optimizing. And I also had a lot of help from my mentors. And I actually want to dedicate this video to one of my mentors who recently passed away in a very tragic way. I won't go into details and I won't mention his name because he was a very private person. But you know who you are if you're watching somehow from up there or wherever. Thank you for everything that you've given me. I dedicate this video and my work this year to you. May you be happy, safe, and well wherever you are. So let's jump into the...
That's pretty nice.
The workflow. So as I said, it is designed to be minimal and to use little resources. So if I do /H, we are currently using 12 gigabytes of RAM of my 62 gigabytes available. And if I open up BTOP, then we will see that most of this is coming from actually OBS, because I am actually recording in 4K as I'm creating this video, obviously. Those things are taking the most memory, but if I actually turn off Obsidian and my browser and everything, then I don't know, it's less than a gigabyte that I'm actually using on the OS side of things and for the core of my workflow. Yeah, basically everything is centered around...
Yeah, that's cool. I also really wanted to try out to have like a minimal Linux main machine again. But yeah, like I have this MacBook. I like to be mobile, and the battery life and the low noise and actually never running fans. And I don't know. I can't seem to buy something just to have I like my setup actually, but I also would like to have like a custom Linux main setup again. Maybe sometime next year or something. Or maybe if Framework or some other company wants to send me a laptop to try it out again.
Around GitHub, or I should actually, the map is changing from year to year, right? So actually I should change this to Git, because I am not necessarily using GitHub for everything anymore. But the way I do things is I store my workflow in Git, obviously.
I'm also like not using GitHub only. Like I just the last few repositories I made, I also did them on Codeberg.
With a .files repo, and my .files repo used to be public, but it has become such an...
And I want to finally get my home lab going this year. So maybe I'm also gonna do some videos about that.
Advanced setup that I was getting tons of questions every single day, and it was just becoming a large chore to actually answer those and to serve those people. So I decided...
Oh, he still has his happy hacking keyboard, seems like.
To make it private because the workflow is too advanced for people to just go in and to look at. But basically what I use is Chamois to manage my .files. That is the tool that I use. And all of my workflow in terms of editor configuration, my GPG configuration, SSH, my scripts collection, all of this is gathered in my .files repo. And when I then spin up a new machine, all I have to do is I pull in that repo and set it up, and then my everything is configured right out of the box. And I can also do this in containerized or ephemeral environments, which we're going to get into a little bit later. All of that is stored in Git as code. And yes, it says GitHub here. So some of these things, yes, they are stored in GitHub. But actually, I'm now self-hosting my own Git server as well. For that, I use Forgeo. That is apparently the right pronunciation of it. Forgeo, this is a fork of Gitty. So Gitty was a very, very compelling alternative for self-hosting your Git server. But Forgeo was a fork of that because Gitty got bought by a company and some things happened. And Forgeo is the real deal in terms of like free open.
Yeah, Codeberg also uses this
source software, guaranteed 100% free
And you can, of course, self-host it.
software. I'm a supporter of this project, but I'm not affiliated, but I do donate money to them because I think it's a great piece of software and I love using it. So I'm self-hosting this in my Kubernetes home lab, and I'll be making a video about that a little bit later. So if you're interested in that, let me know down in the comments. But that's where most of my actual applications and everything that I build is actually hosted on my own Git servers, because I don't want Microsoft scanning all of that code anymore. That is basically where everything lives. And this means that I can have what I call a stateless workstation. And I've talked about this in previous videos where
I really like the concept. Like, you do almost all of the work like in containerized. Like, he uses dev containers for that, I think. I also try to go like this route for the last few things I did. Like, I built my own containers, not like dev containers, and just connect to it. And then I have my terminal-based workflow just in this container. So your main workstation is not really the thing that defines a workflow anymore for most things.
Actually have been on a bit of a journey where I switched to a framework laptop and a framework desktop, and switching computers a lot, rebooting or restarting. I'm now actually running this on a different OS as well, which I'm going to get into in a second. But I basically crafted my workflow in such a way that I can literally be up and running in 5 to 10 minutes on a new machine. And I've actually done that live on videos as well, which will be linked somewhere if you're interested. That is all made possible by Git. And it's not only my dot files, it's also like configuration, everything that's configured. Like, for example, I'm running Sway now, and then you have Kanshi to manage the window. So if I go to my home directory and I check out my Kanshi configuration here, for example, I can configure my monitors here, and all this is also in version control, and everything is stored as code. So yeah, I absolutely love this type of workflow, and that is where everything is based around. So going to the OS section, if you've been following my videos lately, then you know that a few things have happened here. I am now actually completely away from macOS, and on the previous iteration of this video, I completely banned Windows from my life. Well, that has been so like that for a few years now. I was able to, for work and such, I was able to fall back on macOS for most of the time, but now I don't even use that anymore. I'm actually now fully on Linux, fortunately. And this video, all of the videos that I've recorded and created over the past year and a half, everything is done and created on Linux. So even as a creator, it is completely possible to daily drive Linux. So if you're watching this on a Windows PC, shame on you. Check out this video.
Shame on you. Yeah, okay. I can see how he doesn't like Windows, but shame on you. Yeah, for creating content, actually, I am a little bit skeptical of how much work you have to do for that, but probably it will work. I don't know what he uses for recording. OBS probably that should work quite nicely. DaVinci Resolve should also work on Linux, I guess, but I don't know how much configuration pain there is.
Where I talk about exactly why you should not be running Windows 10 or 11, and you should actually move to Linux today. In terms of Linux, I have been running Arch Linux, by the way, for well over a year. And at that point, I discovered something called an immutable OS. So I'm actually currently running Fedora Atomic Sway. So I'm using this particular flavor of the Fedora Atomic desktops. So Fedora Atomic is something called an immutable OS, which means that it is a read-only root file system. I cannot actually install packages or I cannot actually modify my root file system. All of these, everything is sort of baked into an image, and in the background, when a new update comes out, then Fedora releases a new image. So my entire machine is updated in one go. It's one image. And when I then reboot this new...
Oh, I think my live streaming thing here crashed. So let me see if I can restart it here. Yeah, it seems to be still running, but now I can see the chat again. Yeah. So Octo says, I use Windows just for games because it's unable to install some games like LOL, even using bottles. It's all because of the anti-cheat. Yeah, like you have this kernel level anti-cheat, right? And it's also, wasn't there some kind of thing like you can't have I don't know, one of the shooters here. It wasn't LOL. And Battlefield 6 installed on the same system because like the anti-cheats themselves don't work together because of that. Yeah, I can see that. But the other stuff you like for single game player games, most of them run great, right? On Linux. I don't have time to game anymore because I don't know. Like in the last years, I haven't tried it. I had a Steam Deck for a short while and it worked great, but I never used it, so I sold it again.
New image is loaded, but the old image is also kept around. So this means
that, by the way, that was also like SteamOS is also like this immutable distro, right? The root file system you can't change, as far as I remember.
It's one image. And when I then reboot, this new image is loaded, but the old image is also kept around. So this means that you will always have a working computer, because if the new image somehow doesn't work, I can just very easily roll back. And I was first exposed to this concept through my work in Talos Linux, which is a Kubernetes-only Linux distribution. And when I discovered that this was also available for my workstation, I got very excited about that because it's fully aligned with my container-based workflows, which I'm going to get into in a second. Yeah, I'm really liking it so far. I do miss Arch Linux, and I am going to return to Arch Linux at some point. But as an engineer, you also have to keep growing, right? And I realized that I was actually getting into a bit of a bubble by running Arch Linux. I've sort of mastered administering my own system like that, so I wasn't gaining much more from it either. So I'm now doing Fedora Atomic Sway, and I'm going to get into the actual Sway choice in a second here as well. That is the one that I'm using currently.
Oh, I see what I did there. I just scrolled with my mouse wheel, and then this thing pops up here. Sorry for that.
But that is also because I'm running this on a framework laptop. And there's going to be a video released about that very soon where I talk about this laptop in particular and how it's working. Hint, it's working really well for me and I love it. But on my laptop, I'm going to be taking this with me when I'm, going on my travels with my camper van while I work remotely. So I need to have one Linux system that is always going to work, and my Arch Linux system always worked. It's not that it's unstable or anything like that. But what I liked about this particular distribution is that it has this rollback capability in terms of images. And that feels like a very nice and stable way for a portable workstation that I would be 100% dependent on while I'm traveling. But it's still Linux. And also it's good to expose yourself to a few different things.
And he could get into Nix for that too, right? So that you have your configuration that yeah, like it's, you have this one big config file and that's the complete state of your system, right? As far as I know. You haven't played once you open NeoVim, Octo, yeah. So much to configure, right, and try out.
Every now and then. So in this little journey, I did try out several distros because I got this laptop. I was thinking, I was actually going to build an Arch Linux system for that laptop, but I was thinking, maybe I should try something else. And these immutable OSs had been on my radar for a while anyway. So I figured I'm going to do this. And actually what I think is I'm going to be having Arch Linux on my home machine, which is currently a framework desktop. And then I have my Arch Linux system there. And then I keep this one on Fedora Atomic Sway. And then I also keep myself relevant in several Linux distributions, which is important as an engineer as well. Good to zone in on one thing and specialize, but it's also good to also broaden your mindset when you reach senior level and start exposing yourself to other types of workflows and tools as well. In terms of window manager, I actually tried a few different things. I initially went for the Fedora Atomic Cosmic flavor of this. So if you watch my previous version of this video, the 2025 version, you will know that I was running Hyperland at the time on...
I haven't tried Cosmic. I don't really know much about it. When I ran Linux or tried it out in the last years, sometimes like I ran it a few years back, but like I haven't run it actively on a desktop for a while now, for a few years. But then I used i3, and Sway is basically the Wayland i3 version. Basically, I think you can just copy over your i3 config and use it in Sway even.
Arch Linux. So before I switched to Arch Linux, I was actually running several different distros, but I was using X11, right? So I wasn't using Wayland yet. And when I fully committed to Wayland, then my obvious choice was going to be Sway because I was already using i3. But again, then I was like, maybe I'll try something else. And I ended up with using Hyperland, which worked fine, I would say, for my Arch Linux system. But in the previous video, I also mentioned my worries about Hyperland, mainly it being developed by one guy, a student actually. And I follow him on Twitter, and he's actually right now talking about how busy he is with his exams, and there's so much that he wants to do with Hyperland, but he can't. And that is just dangerous, right? Because he built it alone, and there's a community there, and I support him, but it is a risky thing, I think. I think it is much better to commit to something that is more stable And because he wrote it in C++, so he already eliminates a very large part of the open source community that way. And yeah, those were the thoughts I shared in that video. And NVIDIA is not officially supported as well. I was running it on NVIDIA card for well over a year. And frankly, I didn't have much problems. But now that I went this route, I had Hyperland and I was using Cosmic DE as the background. So if you don't know what Cosmic DE is developed by System76, which is a company that creates Linux computers. And because they have their own hardware line that they will deliver with this software on it, they are also very much invested in keeping this running properly, right? So in other words, they're going to be supporting this. It's a professionally developed system with also a very large open source community. So it is a good DE, I would say. I was using this as my fallback when Hyperland didn't work, or also when I had some issues with gaming, I would fall back to Cosmic and then it would work fine. So initially I went for Cosmic DE, but yeah, so the nice thing with these Atomic desktops is that you can easily switch between them, right? So there's the Fedora Atomic Cosmic. You can rebase. You can just rebase your whole OS to a different one, and then you're suddenly running that, and not much has changed. So it actually works really well in that sense. So I was running this for a while, and eventually...
I actually want to try that. I still have got this mini PC here to tinker around, but I didn't do much on it. I just have a regular Fedora installation on it. So maybe I will try to have some of these immutable distros there. Play around with it.
I ran into a couple of things that annoyed me. And the main thing that really annoys me that is still not supported in Cosmic is pinning things to workspaces on startup. So I have a very particular workflow where on the bottom left of my screen here, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. These are my workspaces, right? Now, when my computer starts up, my browser is on workspace 1. My note-taking system, in this case Obsidian, is on workspace 2. On 3 is my terminal, and etc. I have a few more apps that I run in certain workspaces. This way, in code, I can define what starts where and what happens when, and so that I can have a predictable and repeatable workflow. And
this even works with Aerospace. I'm like this window manager I'm using on macOS.
I could not do that in Cosmic. I would start up my PC. I had to manually start all of these. Yes, you can auto start these, but then they would appear all in one workspace. And I tried with finding workarounds, but it didn't work for me. And also, I was running into a couple of issues where you still see that Cosmic is in beta. I'm not sure is it still in beta? I don't know. But at least developments are still being made. But there were a few of these little things that annoyed me basically. And then I just thought I haven't actually really run Sway because I went straight into Hyperland. And so I tried out Sway, and I'm never going back. Like Sway is where it's at. Because if you've seen my previous workflow video about my Arch Linux workstation, in there I proudly said how I actually minimized Hyperland to just the bare minimum, right? I have the most...
Yeah, probably he did remove all the animations and stuff like that.
Boring configuration you will see in the entire world, because my entire workflow is optimized to be as fast as possible so I can switch between things as possible. And I don't want any of these animations. I don't want things to appear. I don't want to wait for something to appear. I want to be able to move things around quickly. And all of this beautiful animations and all of the colors is completely useless. It's a total distraction, especially if...
But it can be kind of cool. Like, I get what he's saying at, like, it's the same argument like Primeagen always has, right? Just be quick. Like, don't think. You basically just switch without any thinking, and it's instantly there. And I can see that, and I like that for the most part too. But sometimes a few cool animations, like, okay, this is maybe a little bit...
I don't want things to...
much, but a few cool animations can also be like nice to look at and make your computing a little bit more fun, right?
Appear. I don't want to wait for something to appear. I want to be able to move things around quickly. And all of this beautiful animations and all of the colors is completely useless. It's a total distraction, especially if you spend hours and hours completely, making it perfect and making it beautiful. And I'm very much guilty of this. When I was a junior, I spent weeks, like in terms of hours, like literal 40+ hour work weeks.
Yeah, Rising is fun. Configuring in Rising, it's probably not as productive, but it's fun. I can relate, and I can get into rabbit holes like that.
Spent on Rising and making beautiful workflows, and I thought it taught me important concepts like coding, etc. But it didn't. It almost didn't transfer to my daily work and my knowledge of Linux. I mean, it's fine if you want to do that as a creative hobby. For me, a computer is something where I am productive, where I build, where I create, where I work. In order to work as efficiently and as optimally as possible, I need things to be fast, responsive, and boring. And that is why Sway is the best for me. Sway, it's like I have my Way bar, which has a few nice little colors in my brand color scheme, which I like. But that's it. It's all very minimal. It's very small, no distractions, and it just does the job. And Sway, of course, Sway GitHub is super stable. It has a large community, 16K stars, and it's still being developed, right? But also you see 2 weeks ago, so you do see that a lot of these components are super stable, right? But when things break or when things need to be changed, then it is being changed by the community. So it has a massive community and it works super well. It's written in C. So there's much more people that are actually able to contribute to this. So I landed on Sway and I don't think I'm going to go anywhere else. We'll see in the next year's workflow video, but this feels like home and it's good, it's nice and stable and I love it. So in terms of my terminal then, because I mentioned that I do most of my work in the terminal, so having a proper terminal emulator and having a proper setup for the terminal is of course extremely important. Well, I'm still using Alacrity. I like Alacrity because it's super minimal, it's small, it's fast, it runs on any operating system. And what I also like about it is, again, it's minimal. And I'm not sure if it's supported now, but in the beginning when I was exploring emulators, I saw these GitHub issues where they would talk about why are tabs not supported in Alacrity.
I get the appeal of having like this super minimal terminal and then like use something like Tmux or other things like to enhance your workflow there to get exactly what you want. Or there's like the suckless terminal, right? You can just really compile it to all the features you need. That's also cool. Like okay. Octo. I like the state of flow my Linux gives. Linux setup. What's your Linux setup? What are you running? I'll give you time to to type and let Misha talk a little bit more.
I saw these GitHub issues.
I'm still using Western, by the way. Like I showed in my first video on this channel. Even though I had this cheeky, maybe I will switch to Ghosty thing, but I like the configuration in Lua, and Western is also quite, I don't know, it does everything I need. And yeah, I switched back to Tmux, but mostly that was when I was switching between a little bit of tried out a lot of terminals, and yeah, Tmux is like I can use it everywhere, so that's why I use Tmux instead of the built-in multiplexing of Western. And also I didn't look into session management with Western yet. GNOME, Tmux plus NVim, plus LF. And the default terminal with a couple of custom alias. Oh, really? The default GNOME terminal? Okay, cool. Yeah, it works, right? Even when I was on Linux, I installed Western. I think it was at least in the last years I used it. Yeah, Western. Western was also like, it also has the benefit. I had to use Windows at work. I had my macOS system, and so like I'm in consulting in a consulting firm, and my main computer there is a Mac, but I had to use like some RDP client to log into a Windows machine, and yeah, I could use Western on all of these operating systems. That was quite nice also. Yeah, maybe you can make a video about it, Octo, if you plan on making videos anyway. So I would watch it.
Where they would talk about why are tabs not supported in Alacrity. They would say, well, Tmux already does that, so why would we build that into our terminal emulator? And I absolutely love this. Like, this Unix philosophy. Create a tool to do one thing and to do it well. And in this,
yeah, Unix philosophy is great. I like it also. Also, maybe I will do some kind of video or course or something like Unix as your IDE, right? Or create Linux setup.
In case it's emulating a terminal, and you don't need to have tabs in.
He still also hits the mic, just like me. So that's great to see, even though he's so experienced.
Create a tool to do one thing and to do it well. And in this case, it's emulating a terminal. and you don't need to have tabs in your terminal if you just learn Tmux, which has been around for decades, right? So yeah, that is the one that I still use. Very happy with it, and I'm not considering any switch there. I am still using Z Shell after I did my time on using just Bash for several years, which you should be doing. If you are watching this as a junior or someone who is interested in becoming a sysadmin, Linux engineer, DevOps engineer, or working with Kubernetes or containers, I strongly suggest, you should not use Z Shell at all for your first years. Just use Bash, learn it well, because Bash is the default shell on any Linux system that you're going to run into in the field. Z Shell does a few things differently, and if you're going to be joining a team and they have several VMs, for example, or container images, and then you're going to be demanding that they install Z Shell because that's the shell you use, you're going to be laughed at. So use Bash, learn it well, learn the default shell that has been running on Linux system for decades, because if you do like podman run Ubuntu, IT Ubuntu, if I just spin up a quick Ubuntu container here, if I then do echo shell, then it is bin bash. It's not Z shell, it's not even installed in here. So meaning that any container you're going to be working in or any Linux environment you're going to be working in has bash and not Z shell. And that is why you should actually use.
Yeah, but the differences are not that great. Yeah, if you use advanced features, but you can get around in Bash if you just use like SSH, basically.
Use this for a few years, learn it well, and then you can move to Z shell.
But in general, his advice is of course great, or it's good advice.
For me, I moved.
I'm also thinking having strong fundamentals is the best way, and then base everything else on these strong fundamentals. That's also what I'm trying to do with the Vim videos I do, right? I'm concentrating more on the basics. I will sprinkle in also some plugin stuff in the future more, but I think you should know what you can do with the basics without any plugins, with basic Vim, basically. Basic.
And that is why you should actually use this for a few years, learn it well, and then you can move to Z Shell. For me, I moved to Z Shell mainly because the completion is nicer and better. So if I, for example, want to run sway message and tab, then this shows me the help as I'm tabbing, which is much nicer than what you would get in Bash.
Yeah, it's basically based. Strong fundamentals. Yeah, I also like the completion of CSH. It's great completion.
You would just get the output and you can choose, but it doesn't even show these messages here. That is actually the main reason why I switched to Z Shell, because the completion is a little bit better and it makes me a little bit faster on the command line in that sense. But that is the main reason why I use it. So in this window manager section, I mentioned that I use Sway for the graphical side of things, but there it also says Tmux. And that is frankly because Tmux is actually my window manager. Like I do most of my work on the command line, which I'm going to be getting into in a second, but I run Tmux as my window manager. Most of my work happens in this screen that you see.
Yeah, and he uses just Sway for switching to browser and stuff like that. That doesn't run in the terminal.
See over here. So I'm constantly splitting windows and creating sessions, etc. And here's I'm going to have another little bit of a controversial opinion here, but it's actually advice that I give to all of my students, which is to always stick to the default key bindings when running Tmux. Because Ctrl-B-C, Ctrl-B-D, etc. Yes, it does feel a little bit weird to do the Ctrl-B, but if you get this in your fingers properly, then no matter which Linux system you're on, anywhere in the world, Tmux it's not certainly going to be there, but it's very likely that a Linux system that is designed for people to use, Tmux is going to be there. But if you
well, you can easily install it. I also use the default Tmux key bindings most of the time. I have some more bindings I added to my config, but I still use Ctrl-B as a prefix even. And of course also it's easier to type on my keyboard here and with the Comac DHM layout I'm using. But I have this keyboard with me all the time. And if I'm back on a normal keyboard, I will be able to also use Ctrl-B and the default keybinds.
You then have your precious set of key bindings that you have created yourself. You are completely useless on that system if you don't know the default key bindings.
Also, you might say that maybe you don't even have to touch any other systems, right? So you're always on your system, then this really doesn't matter. Okay, if you like connect on servers like in the terminal and then you use Tmux on this server, then yeah, if you have the default keybinds there, it will be helpful. That's also like why I just use the default keybinds. It's not that hard to remember, I think. And they are not that inconvenient. You have to learn it one time.
So even though you can have this wonderful setup on your local machine.
Yes, exactly. That's what I did before I had this keyboard. I also had like caps lock as this as the control key. Now I would even do it a little bit different, because like with Kanata or something, or other software like that, you can even use like this mod. Now I hit the microphone, just as I said before. You can have this mod type behavior, right? Yeah, I have this. I will show you. It's like I have to see. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, it's a Chocofy. Like it's a 36 key keyboard, and I use the Miyoku layout with it. So for alphas, I use Colmac, and for the special keys, I use the Miyoku based layout. Yeah, and you could use like the caps lock key as a combination of, if you hold it, then it's like the control key, and if you just tap it, you can use escape on this key. There are possibilities to that. How do I type cat? What do you mean? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me switch to a terminal. You mean cat? I can just type cat. I don't know. Like okay, let's switch. Oh, that's the wrong browser. This is the other profile. Let's see. Like I have basically this layout here. You see, this is the Comac layout. Like Q, W, F, P, B. These are the alpha keys. And then you have these keys you can hold. Like this is space. If I just press it, if I just tap it, if I hold it, this becomes my navigation layer. And I have like these Vim-like key bindings here for the arrow keys and stuff like that. And then you have other layers, like a mouse layer. I can even, like if I hold my outer thumb key here on the left side, I can use the right keys to move my mouse here. Even though it's not really great, but you could use it in a pinch. Yeah. And also home row mods. So like if I press N, just tap it, then it's the N. If I hold it, it becomes Shift. And here like E and Control, I and Alt or Option on Mac. And the super key is O. And it's mirrored on the other side here. Yeah.
Maybe using some shit like the default key bindings. So even though you can have this wonderful setup on your local machine, maybe using some shit like Zelich or whatever it's called, with a different menu, with different key bindings. And yeah, it's such a big mistake to do that. So
some shit like Zelich. He has some strong opinions sometimes.
If you just stick to the default key bindings, just do it for 2 weeks, and then you don't even think about it anymore. In any system in the world, you're going to be able to split windows. You're going to be able to be productive without having to look at the man pages. If you have your own precious little config, you're going to be on a system and it's like, oh, how was it again? Yeah, I do Control B pipe like this. That's an alias that people will use because, yeah, that you have a vertical split. It's I can see the point. But if that doesn't work on the system, you're like, oh, how was it again? What's Control B %, right? That is how you do it. So just use the default key bindings. I promise you, the muscle memory kicks in and you don't even think about it anymore. So as you see, my tmux has been modified a fair bit. If I just run another podman run it ubuntu, another container here, and I do apt update and apt install tmux. If I now run tmux inside of the container, you will see that it looks very different, right? It has the green status bar. It has it does, when I create new windows, they start from 0, for example. They are down in the bottom. And yeah, so I've modified this in some ways. So what I like is to have, first of all, to have that thing in the top. I don't want it to have this ugly green color. And also I want...
Yeah, also like, I have it also at the top. I have like a Tokyo Night theme I made for this. Like my session name here. And yeah, I also have one-based indexing for this. Basically, like if I would use a normal keyboard, then like the 0 would be really inconvenient to press to switch there. Like, yeah, something like that. So it's quite familiar. And then also sometimes I just use the status bar, like I just disable it. Or I have something that I can put it on the bottom here. Yeah, but on default, it's like on top here, and it has also like this one empty line inside here. So if I run like NeoVim or something like that, that I have some more space here, like in between. I like it this way.
This to start at 1 instead of 0, because if I do Control B2, I'm now switching to workspace 2, Control B3, or actually window 3, Control B1, then Control B0 does not make sense because my finger needs to move to the right side. If I do Control B1, then it is on the 1, so it's on the left side. And like in my optimization flow, it feels like I was spending a nanosecond thinking about having to go to the right side of my keyboard instead of 1. So even though like programmatically it is more correct to start at 0 and to use that, I want it to have at 1, because then my fingers go from left to right when I'm switching. Likewise with the tabs or the workspaces in Sway, I want that same finger to work in my Tmux workspace as well. Because remember, I spend most of my time here. So every time I have to spend a nanosecond thinking about this, then that is a waste, some wasted time.
Nanosecond is maybe a bit too high. I don't know if it's just a nanosecond. Just think about that.
So that's how I like to have.
But yeah, I also, as I mentioned, I like the one-based indexing for the windows here, and also for my workspaces. I have also like in my window manager here, you can see it's one-based, and these 7, 8, 9 are based on the left because I have my laptop screen on the left here open, and if I have it open, most of the time, if I'm not streaming or recording a video, I just have it closed. And then I just have 1 through 9 on the right side here. But if I have, this is like the distinction that it's on my left monitor here. And also like I just switch like this here. Well, I don't have key casting enabled right now, but it's not that important right now, I think.
Habit, and this is how I've configured it. That is basic. Tmux is basically my main window manager. I've recently created a complete set of courses for my students in CubeCraft, where I teach them the foundations of Linux and Bash scripting, how to use Bash properly as an engineer. And that has been a lovely refresh for myself to the fundamentals too, because I use these without thinking very much about them. And it's so ingrained into my workflow that I don't even think about it. It just happens naturally, right? But to teach something means that you also have to deeply understand it. And you'll be surprised if you do things yourself, like almost naturally, or not by not thinking about it, if you then have to go and explain that to someone else.
That's really complicated sometimes. That's really hard sometimes. If you like have it in your muscle memory and you don't like think about it anymore and explain it. Sometimes I even can't say like which key is this hotkey on. Like I have to think about it. Like if you do it like automatically all the time, so I can relate. I also think about maybe also starting a community here with want to build some kind of courses also that are all based on terminal workflows, maybe also home labbing, so quite similar to what he does probably. We'll see. Maybe because like also creating these videos I already created, also just going back to all these fundamentals and going through them again, like you become better at it just by teaching it to others. I think it's a great method to learn better for yourself also. So that's also one reason why I'm doing this here, to get better myself with all this stuff. Yeah.
You'd be surprised how hard it actually is to accurately convey very important topics, because I have a large responsibility, right? Like people come to me to become DevOps engineers, very often from scratch completely. They have no technical experience. I teach them to go from 0 to DevOps engineers, and we land jobs every single week in CubeCraft. What I'm teaching them is working, but it's a large responsibility, and I take it very seriously. When I was going through this, I also realized that there were a few things that I was not doing in the command line very much myself anymore. I was defaulting back to the browser for things like email and browsing and querying. And in that process of going really deep into the foundations again, going really deep into teaching mode and teaching people how to use a computer, how to actually use a Linux computer properly. In creating that, I also had a bit of an awakening inside of myself where, there is still 5% that I still have to bring into the command line, because
So he's doing email now on the terminal also? And browsing. Browsing, I find, I don't know if you can do it really in the terminal anymore. Like you can, so I don't know, like have I installed links here? Yes, for this other stream here, right? So if I go to Google with my browser here in the terminal, it will say to me like, please use a modern browser. First I have to accept the cookies here. Oh no, I do never right now. You see how much stuff is going on here, and then there comes your browser. Please update your browser. Your browser is not supported anymore. If you want to search here, upgrade of a current version. Like you can't even browse properly in the terminal anymore, right? Or do you know about a good browser in the terminal that has all these features that are needed for modern websites?
It is much faster, and it is much like the interface to.
Oh, but he says like command line browsing and email with AERC. Okay, I don't know this. Let's see what it is before I try to install it myself.
Your computer. Studies have shown that the most efficient and effective way of interacting with the computer is the command line. Like until Neuralink actually works and you can interact with your computer through thought, or whether it is through a wire or telepathically, until we have that, the command line is going to be the fastest, most efficient way to interact with your computer. So I always want to optimize my workflow with the command line. So one of the additions here is that I'm using Arc for managing emails on the command line. So I can view my inboxes. I have multiple accounts in here, and if I open one of these emails, then you see that it is rendered in plain text, which is really nice. So I can very easily, very quickly navigate my emails, and then from here I can very quickly archive them like this with capital A.
For email, I can, yeah, maybe I would try that actually. I didn't try to get my email workflow into the terminal, I have to admit.
And I can, like, very often, many of these emails, you don't even need to read them, right? So for these, I know, okay, I can archive this, etc. So it works really well. So I'm doing most of my email.
What do you mean it's too much for you, Octo? Like doing everything in the work in the terminal, or what do you mean?
Email management from the command line now using Arc. So that's a nice one. Another one is browsing. So when I'm coding, when I'm working on things, then very often the default is to, well, first of all, I always go to the man pages first, right? So man bash. This is all you need to learn bash, really. Like any engineer should at least read this from top to bottom at least once in their lifetime, because here you have everything, even about parameter expansion. Like it's so, you just have the full topic here about parameter expansion, and you will.
Yeah, man pages are great to learn. That's also something I tell people. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like email, I could imagine that it would be nice actually. Like you're typing, and maybe you don't have to see all this HTML formatting stuff. If I will maybe try this Arc thingy that he showed me, but I'm really like browsing. I don't know, like in the modern web, at least with links. I don't know if that's an option. Maybe he has something better, or maybe he just meant like browsing man pages. I don't know. Let's see what he does next.
It's so good that you can just be coding in bash, and then, oh, what was that parameter again to set a default value? Use man bash parameter expansion, and then you have it right here, and then it will show you here parameter word use default values, right? It's amazing. That is the first default. But I noticed that when something was not in bash, in the man pages, so man k Claude, for example, man k Claude, then you will see, I can type Claude, then you'll see obviously there's no man page about Claude code, right? So the default then is to go to the browser. Now this is already quite efficient for me because I'm now in my terminal. I would do the command 1 to switch to my browser. I do Control T to create a new tab, and then I would do Claude code, and then here I have my Vim.
That's cool. The transition here to now he's showing his keyboard here, and it just grew like smoothly. I like that.
Extension enabled, so I do escape, and then I can actually scroll with this. And if I do F and then AJ, then I would open the page like.
So he's using Vimium or Qt browser, probably. I don't know.
Like this. So I don't even use my mouse when browsing on in the browser like this. This is still not as efficient as doing it in the command line very often, right? So if I for example want to grab something from my own blog, I would do w3m.mishavandenberg.com. So now I have my own.
Oh, W3M. Okay. Let's see if we can install this and yeah, if this works for Google, at least. Okay, there comes the same message actually. Ah, okay. I see. So yeah, stenotype keyboard is not the way I use it. Like I can't type steno, but you could of course program this keyboard also to achieve something like that, or you can use combos or something like that, like press 2 keys together to get a certain word or something, or like stenography is like you have some combinations of keys and then you produce like complete words, right? That's at least how I imagine working. So W3M is also not working for that, but let's see if my homepage works actually. Oh yeah, I can browse my website here, my blog with one blog post of my first video. So nice. Works. Yeah, okay. It's cool. How can I go back here actually? Do we have some? I can search backwards, but I didn't want to. Is there some kind of help for this? Is there like a command option? I can't. I don't know. W3M actually. Does it have a man page? Yes. Back. Can't go backwards. Key bindings. Typing. That's the key map. Okay, let's open this up in another tab. Yeah, another split. I mean, so there should be this config now here. I hope. Key map. There's no key map here. Let's see, there's just this cookie thing. Okay, so no default key maps. Also nothing more here in the manual page, at least. Okay, let's not waste any time here anymore. macOS full screen thingy is really nerve-wracking. I hate this native full screen mode in macOS. Hate it. Pictures in the command line browser. Yeah, I don't know. It could be. It should be like if it also like supports the Kitty graphics protocol or Sixel or whatever else there is. But yeah, as you can see, I didn't. It doesn't look like it comes there per default. And I know, like, if you look at this, there's no picture here. Oh, there's at least there's emoji support here, right? So you can see here on the right here, there's this emoji. It renders the emoji. But if I go back here to the browser and go to marcopeluso.com, there's actually no picture. Okay, so that was not the best example, maybe. So do we have like a simple page where some picture there's some picture, like I don't know, like Golang. What's the website for Go? Go.dev. There's some kind of picture. There's some kind of picture. Maybe we can use try this. How do I navigate to another thing here? No, I don't want to search. Okay, I'm just gonna do it because I don't know any better and just restart this browser here. Okay, it doesn't look like, by default, W3M at least doesn't show any pictures here. Yeah, but it should be possible, I guess.
Blog open here. I can tab through the links here, and let's just open the Sovereign Craftsman blog article here. Let's say I want to grab something from this article. I would just do Ctrl-B bracket, Shift-V, select this, press.
So he's using Tmux copy mode here.
Enter, and now I can quit this, and if I paste this, I have this in my clipboard, right? So when I need a piece of code, for example, when I'm wondering about something, I will run this. How do I increase context in Claude Code? This is then opening DuckDuckGo with my with W3M, and I can then open this and I can read about it. And if there is a piece of code here, for example, or if there's something that I want, Ctrl-B bracket, select, enter, escape, and paste. I have it right here. I didn't even have to leave the terminal.
Actually, quite a nice workflow, I have to admit. Like for stuff like that, and if you don't need any pictures, if you're just looking for some information like this, want to copy something, like having your browser in the terminal, seems quite efficient actually. Maybe I will try to use this from now on, or like try it out at least if it works for me.
When you get good at this, when you get really fast at this, I'm still learning this, but you can see here that I'm actually defaulting to searching and browsing.
Because I love like staying in a terminal, like it's really cool. It feels good to me to be able to stay as much in the terminal as I can and to use the mouse. To not use the mouse if I don't need to.
From the command line first, because then I can grab the text,
And I still have to improve my workflow for that. Of course, like my mouse is still, I still use it way too often, I guess.
Do searching and browsing from the command line first, because then I can grab the text, I can pipe it, I can do so much. And in this environment, I have complete control. So if I then again open my own website, if I want to read a blog, for example, if I want to open my own blog and read it, then I prefer to read it in plain text, where I have control over the font size, the font, where I can have control over what how it's rendered, etc. Like I think plain text is actually the best way to consume things. If you have like I work on the terminal 10 hours a day, so this is a very familiar and comfortable environment for me, completely optimized for my preferences. You know, the web, when you open the web, this is rendered because this is rendered text, right? And it's shown as the creator has configured it. But when the internet was originally designed, when the web was originally designed, the idea was actually to have it more like a Kindle. You know, when you have a Kindle device for e-reading, on there you can actually put in your own font. You can.
He really stepped up his editing game here. I guess he has some editors that he pays for now. But if you remember the first video we just looked at. Like this is really good editing. I would like to have an editor. It takes so much time to edit videos.
And your font size, you can.
And I'm not great at it yet. So, like this quality of editing, it's not possible for me, at least right now. I would have to put in much more time for that.
And you choose how everything is rendered. You control how things are rendered. And the web was originally designed that way too, that people could, on their end, modify how things were rendered. Obviously, that's not the case anymore. And what I mean to say by that is that when you get used to scrolling on the command line and consuming on the command line, you have control over how you consume things. And it becomes much more efficient, in my opinion, for me. So there are a few alternatives. There's Lynx and there's W3M. Lynx is the OG one to use, and W3M is a little bit more modern. It's still being actively developed.
Yeah, Lynx I knew. W3M I didn't know about. Yeah, the thing is, I told you already in the beginning, I think. Like in about 10 minutes, so we won't make it to the end of this video here, I guess. Like in 10 minutes, I have to leave to get some sleep. I hope to get some sleep if the little one is sleeping tonight. But yeah, otherwise I will be dead tomorrow. So 10 more minutes.
Somewhat. So I chose W3M, and that is the one that I'm using. And this command here that I then use, this is just a custom command that I wrote where I will pipe something like, for example, what is the difference between Lynx and W3M? And then this is piping that to DuckDuckGo, where I can then open one of these pages and start reading about it, right? Now you'll find when you do this, you'll find that some of the web pages that you are used to consuming are actually not compatible with this type of rendering, right? So not all web pages you can actually...
Yes. So DuckDuckGo works, even Google doesn't even work here if you use Google.
Visit this way. For example, can I do w3msubstack.com? Does this even work? Subscriptions? No, like this. Here we go. This site requires JavaScript to run correctly. Please turn on JavaScript or unblock scripts. You see here, you need JavaScript, but this is also a very private...
Yeah, Misha's great. Misha is actually great. He has some great videos. He has also some great videos on note-taking and Zettelkasten stuff. And yeah, like home labbing. He also has this community, like a free one and also a paid one.
way of browsing, right? You don't get...
And he's just a really chill guy, I think.
Substack.com. Does this even work? Subscriptions? No, like this. Here we go. This site requires JavaScript to run correctly. Please turn on JavaScript or unblock scripts. You see here, you need JavaScript, but this is also a very private way of browsing, right? You don't get all of this tracking, cookies, all of this shit. You have complete control over that. So this is actually, in terms of browsers, if you want to do a proper private browsing experience, you should probably use something like this. But you do, it's like that meme of the stages of privacy, right? I don't know if you've seen that one. Yeah, here, I pulled it up. I posted it in CubeCraft, but here's I love, this is one of my favorite memes where you have the tech normie, the tech conservative, where you then start using Brave. It's like,
hey, I'm conservative then. I'm using Brave. Brave is a great browser, I think.
yeah, big tech is cool, but there should be a healthy balance.
Also, I like Fedora. Okay. I'm still, I don't even like any of the of the messaging apps. Like, I'm still on WhatsApp because like most of the people I know are on there. And I have Signal and I also have Telegram, but I rarely use them all.
Newborn paranoid, like I am basically in that stage, I would say.
Waterfox. I didn't look at it yet. So this is probably some kind of Firefox fork or something. Privacy first thing. Looks nice. Maybe I'll look into it. But I'm liking the Brave experience actually. But maybe, yeah, it looks nice in the screenshots here at least. Yeah, maybe I'll have a look at it later. So cozy is the main thing here, and no AI here is cool. Oh, I like this effect. Oh, wrong video. He looks totally different now, I think.
Say, but I'm moving towards the tech paranoid where it says, actually I'm getting closer towards the FSF member where it's saying, hasn't rendered a full web page since 2012 because of the JavaScript. Well,
yeah, that's a cool meme. Evil mode or Emacs Pinky? No, yeah, evil mode when? It should be evil mode, right? Like Emacs evil mode is like VI mode. I never tried Emacs to say.
I think that's such a fun one. So yeah, no, I'm definitely not there. But you see here that links and W3M is actually mentioned in.
Oh yeah. Okay. At least I knew about links and I used it like many years ago.
In the meme itself. So yeah, in some ways I'm getting closer and closer to that stage. So in CubeCraft we also have fun, right? It's not just about landing jobs. It's just a great community of engineers who come together and work on the same goal of landing DevOps jobs. So yes, that is in terms of browsing. And then finally, I've shown you how I search on the internet, but there's also obviously we are using AI for everything. So what I also do is I have my question mark command that I say, is it safe to drink water from plastic bottles? I don't know. And now it's going to be, now it's asking Claude, right, from the command line. So here it's going to talk about key points. Food grade plastics are approved by health agencies.
I also like this.
Potential concerns, yeah, avoid leaving bottles in hot cars. as heat may increase chemical leaching. And yeah, I don't know if you have been exposed to the microplastics rabbit hole yet. I'm sorry if I am exposing you right now, but we live in concerning times. Do not drink water from plastic bottles. But that was just the first thing that came up. But as I'm coding, as I'm working on the command line, maybe I'm working on a bash script, or I'm just working, let's say I'm working on a bash script and I'm thinking, oh, what was it again? How do I set a default value in bash using parameter expansion? Can't type, but then I can just query that from the command line like this. I'm going to get my answer right here. I can now go here. I can take this line of code, for example, take this and open my bash script, and then I can start editing right here. And I never had to leave the command line. I didn't have to use the mouse. I didn't have to do anything to get this. And what's even better is that I could even call this from the command line. So let's say I'm working here in Vim, and how do I set a default value in bash using parameter expansion? If I then pipe this to my fabric query command, then this is going to replace the current line with the output of that command. So here we go. I actually have the output of ChatGPT right here in my editor without any plugins, without any sort of extra things. This is just using Unix filters, bash, and Vim exactly as things were intended. So let's do this again if this went a little bit fast for you. So let's say I'm writing a blog post about microplastics.
It's one of the tips. Didn't I cover this in admin of Vim also, like the external filters? Yeah, I did.
Let's say I'm doing the dangers of microplastics, something like that. If I now then have a question for Claude or ChatGPT or whatever you use, if I then...
But I like this this combination of the Claude thingy he does here with this command.
Are microplastics dangerous? If I then pipe this to my fabric query command here, it's my custom command, then it's going to replace this line with the output of that command. So I'm sending this to my...
Okay, so I think there's not even anyone, so everyone left probably, because I said I'm gonna leave here, maybe, I don't know, but I have to go now, so it was really nice. Thanks for being here, and I'll be posting a video tomorrow, I guess, or at least on Monday. And we'll be streaming next week. I don't know on which day yet, but I will do a post then. So hope to see you soon again. Thanks for being here, and yeah, see you around. Take care. Oh, really? Octo, I thought you wouldn't be here anymore, because like my dashboard just says no viewers right now. It seems to be bugged out. But yeah, that would be cool if you put it out. Let me know somehow, like come to the next stream, or just post a comment somewhere. I'll catch it, or like hit me up on Reddit. You can let's just see Reddit. I'm it's /u, right, on Reddit. I'm M+P on Reddit. You will find me, I guess, somehow. So thank you for being here, and yeah, see you soon, I guess.